717 Monday, February 17th, right here on Jocks 94.5. Paul Feinbaum joins us thanks to our friends at Craneworks each and every Monday at this time.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah, the big dog's got it.
Paul Feinbaum on Mac and Cube in the Morning is brought to you by Craneworks. Lift it, buy it, rent it, the big dog's got it. Now, Paul Feinbaum.
Paul, always great to have you with us on a Monday. Massive matchup in Tuscaloosa in basketball over the weekend, and I'm just interested to hear from you, from Bruce Pearl's legacy perspective. What did that win do in your mind?
Well, I think it just continues to solidify his role, Cole, as really one of the most important coaches, really in modern SEC history. I think he had already done that to a degree, but there was just something really special about Saturday. And I know the game was fairly disappointing for a lot of fans, but it was still a magical moment for anybody who has watched college basketball in this state for any amount of years, especially for as long as I have.
What do you make of just the progress that the state, before we get into the individual coaches, the individual teams, just where basketball is and just how popular it's become? I was with the group of 16 guys, and nobody could get to the TV fast enough to watch that game on Saturday all together. Probably 5 Auburn, 11 Bama, and it was a war of words for the better part of 2.5 hours. But I've never seen people care so much. It's really amazing. And what do you attribute it to?
Well, I think it's been a progression, Greg, and I want to make it clear to the audience, it just didn't start this year. I was traveling with Alabama basketball in the 80s all across the country, and it was really good, but the problem was it just never could get over the hump. And there were people that said, even as far back as 40 years ago, if a team could ever get to the Final Four, it would change the dynamics. But I don't think that would have even mattered. I think it just took time, and I think it took the acceptance of basketball. And I don't mean that as in any way other than the fact that it's always been a football state. And I think basketball is a complicated sport. It's like baseball. It's a very deep and complicated sport. And I think gradually over the years, younger people started paying a little more attention. And I think it's really been the advance of the coaching, because the coaches in the 80s and 90s, especially the 80s, were characters. I don't want to take anything away from Wimp Sanderson, because he really was a great coach who just never could seem to get over the hump. But he was best known for his sport code and his wit than he really was for his coaching. These guys, Bruce Pearl and Nate Oates are two of the 3 or 4 best coaches in America, and I think the public appreciates that. And I think as a result, everyone has followed suit in understanding the game a lot better.
How exactly has all of this happened, though? When you look at the committee's rankings that came out on Saturday, top of the list, dominated by the SEC, AP poll dominated by the SEC. It's one thing for a program or two just to all of a sudden be better than they have been, more consistently, Paul, but this entire league has elevated its rays of play, and we know about the Tranghese hire from Greg Sankey a couple of years ago and more emphasis on it, but to seemingly be able to go in and find a way for so many teams to be so much better, how does this happen?
I'm going to point to a couple of things, and let me make it clear to both of you guys, this is not self-serving, but I really believe if you go back exactly 10 and a half years ago to the beginning of the SEC network, that really did help. Why? Because every game is on TV, whether it's on the SEC network or ESPN or ESPN2 or some other vehicle. And if you back in time, it was hard to find the SEC because the ACC had all the television syndication things locked down. They were on in prime time. Their tournament always got the best display. And I think starting in the winter of or the fall of 14 and the winter of 15, when Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Saturday, games all day long. So high school players and certainly with the advent of phones and social media and streaming, it made it even easier. But I think all of a sudden every game's on. Every program is better known than it was 25 years ago. If you go back to the Wimp Sanderson, Sonny Smith heyday of the 80s, you may have been on once every week or two. I mean, there may have been a Wednesday night game and there was a Saturday game, but there weren't games on from 11 o'clock till midnight. So I really do think that had a lot to do with it.
Certainly seems that way, Paul. When you look at the SEC and just the quality of coach that is being able to be attracted, is it because of money exclusively, or is there really been a changing of the guard with the ACC and the Big 12 always kind of being the top dogs in basketball? The Big East, of course, doesn't take a backseat to hardly anybody. But it feels like because of the amount of money that these schools have now in the Southeastern Conference, you can go and get the best coaches, which to me is kind of remarkable. Is it purely a game of numbers, if you will?
I think it's that. I think it's also a mentality, Greg, where we're 40 years. I know I'm going back a lot to 30, 40 years ago, but even 20 years ago, there wasn't a lot of thought process that went into hiring coaches. You have better athletic directors now, and what I mean by that is they're younger, they're more forward thinking. And 40 years ago, you had athletic directors. The two athletic directors in Alabama exactly 40 years ago. By the way, basketball was good then. We're football coaches, and they did not understand what Jay Jacobs understood about Bruce Pearl, and obviously what Greg Byrne understood about Nate Oates. These coaches, these athletic directors have grown up in the era of basketball arenas getting bigger. So I think they put a lot more thought process into it, where it used to be the basketball really was a necessary evil. And I know you've all heard the stories from people my age and even older about how little attention was paid, but that's just really the way it was. And I think the football programs understand now that basketball can be successful, where even in the 90s, there was the athletic director at Alabama who ended up firing Wimp Sanderson. He resented Wimp Sanderson because in some ways the basketball program was getting bigger than the football program. Now you see the football coaches at the basketball games embracing it because they have recruits there. They have their players are there. It's a completely different situation. The animosity, the enmity, that is out the window now because basketball is is on such a center stage that brings money and most important value and notoriety to the university.
Paul, also, it's new. It hasn't been discussed around with a lot of people very often, but some of the reporting from Ross Dellinger last night appears as though the SEC and the Big Ten are maybe pushing momentum towards an expanded playoff, also with a new entity that will soon be created for those two to have control of the sport and be able to move forward, sort of doing things their way. What do you know about what's next with this potential massive shift in college sports?
Yeah, I mean, I think all this is going to come to a head here soon in New Orleans when the athletic directors of the SEC and the Big Ten meet. So this is all a precursor to that. I mean, there's a lot of discussion. I was talking to somebody connected to the ACC the other day, and they're very resentful of that. But on the other hand, when you consider what we've all debated and discussed here ad nauseum for months about the SEC and the field, they're going to try to make up for that. And by the way, I personally don't think we really need 2 or 4 more schools in the tournament. I mean, I think we've already had this conversation that there probably weren't 12 good teams to go into this year. But on the other hand, it's a television event as well. More programs who are talking about it is considered good for the sport. There are more games. As far, I think the biggest issue is the automatic qualifiers. Is that really the way you should be running an event? And obviously the Big Ten and the SEC feel very strongly about that. And I think more than anything, it's to protect the integrity of what those schools have to go through, as opposed to a group of five or a lesser conference in terms of the day-to-day, week-to-week conversations about the schedules.
What about the automatic qualifiers, though? Can they possibly get a vote done and get rid of automatic qualifiers? Because to me, I feel like, I know it has to be unanimous for them to change this year. That's not likely to happen. But even when we're into next year and the original college football playoff deal was done, how are you going to get the rest of the conference on board if you don't give them a little bit of a bite at the apple by giving them an AQ?
Yeah, I think by adding, you're really ceding that to them and saying, okay, we're going to let you have that, but we're going to have our cake too. I think that's the only way they're approaching it, Greg. I just think the one thing I've never really liked, I think it was the Big Ten proposal to make sure that the SEC or the Big Ten had the first seed. I think it was the first seed or two. I can't remember exactly what the initial Tony Petitti proposal was, but I mean, if you control the sport, then you might as well get what you want. I mean, I understand that, and I do think the SEC and the Big Ten have the power that they literally could take this thing away from everyone else, and I don't think it would matter that much. And so I think that's what their threat is, by making sure they protect their teams. And I think what it really means is, we don't have to have this argument every December that we play a tougher schedule than you do. We're just going to guarantee it. And then if you're the number 5 school in the SEC, then we're sorry. There's only so far we can go, but at least somebody is going to be protected for having played a much more difficult schedule.
Well, what do you think the end result is here? Is it a number of teams that pull away? Is it just more financial gain? When is it satisfactory for those two leagues?
Well, I think it's when they get what they want. And listen, it's like any negotiation, whether you're talking about something far more serious about land among major countries or space here in the college football playoff. But the SEC and the ACC have the power. I mean, you don't want to be in the ACC or the Big 12 or whatever this new contraption is out west, and have your own and be the champion of those 4 or 5 while the SEC and the Big Ten are crowning champions. You know that's not going to work, and you know the big networks are going to be with you, so they're going to play along. I think that's really that's the dirty little secret here, is the SEC and the Big Ten can probably get away with whatever they want.
It's only a matter of time, Paul. It's going to be the SEC champion against the Big Ten champion for the national championship. I don't think there's any doubt that's where we're heading. I just want to know when we're going to get there. Do you have any idea?
Yeah, no, I think we're still. I think they're going to go along with this proposal and see how it goes. But because Greg, I don't think the other leagues have any choice. I mean, they know what you just said is true, and they'd rather be part of that than trying to claim. I mean, it would be like, remember, somebody claiming the Golf Digest College Football Championship. I think Pat Dodd tried that once, or Tommy Tuberville. That doesn't work. You don't want to be Clemson sitting there having beaten Washington State for the national championship, while Alabama just played Ohio State for the Big Ten SEC. So you've got to go along for the time being. I think it will break up later, though. I agree with you, Greg.
Paul, always great stuff. We appreciate the time. Look forward to catching up with you again next week.
You bet. Enjoyed it.
Paul Feinbaum joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline for all your insurance, financial, HR needs. It's Buyers Right Insurance, a Higginbotham partner. He joins us weekly thanks to CraneWorks. We'll spend some more time on this proposal, this reporting from Ross Dellinger on maybe what's next in college football. Want to go back to Auburn at Alabama over the weekend, as well as some more in-state hoops when we come back. Give you a chance to react to it, your thoughts on it, 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. What did you make of Auburn going to Alabama, being able to get that win? Text in 205-834-9450. Tweet into the show at Mac and Q. Before we discuss that further, Greg, tell our listeners about Shannara Flooring.
Well, Shannara Flooring does a great job. They're the contractor that you can trust. We know that when you decide to make changes to your floors, that can be a really big decision, and it could potentially have massive ramifications if you go with a contractor that is not going to take care of your home. That's why Fu at Shannara Flooring has done a great job of building his team on a foundation of trust and integrity. And they have 40,000 square feet of flooring by Cortec that is in stock right now. And that Core Tech from Shaw is 100% waterproof, ideal for kitchens, laundry rooms, bathrooms, and everywhere else. And you can get 12 months financing with approved credit. So remember, if you're thinking about making changes to your floors, call who? Call Foo. Call them at 205-518-6423, or you can go online at shinaraflooring.com.
Bruce Pearl did discuss what it might look like for Auburn to face Alabama again. We'll hear that on the return of this program next. Mac and Cube in the morning. $7:36. It is Monday, February 17th on Jocks 94.5. Talking Auburn's win at Alabama over the weekend. You said, G-Mac, you were in a little bit of a different setting over the weekend to be able to watch this one.
It was awesome. Yeah, we were down in Florida, bachelor party. Haven't been in a bachelor party in a minute, but it was a good time nonetheless. A lot of golf. But watching it with 16 guys, probably 5 or 6 from Auburn, 10 or 11 from Bama, it got pretty hostile. Very hostile.
I can imagine.
A lot of fist bumps.
Okay.
A lot of smack talk.
And it was back and forth enough, even though Auburn had a couple of big leads that I can imagine that would have been pretty entertaining.
It was amazing
for folks to get into it. It was
followed only by the hockey that night. The hockey that night, we were all 16 of us pulling. There might have been 1 or 2 Canadian fans.
Whoa.
Not many though. The hockey on Saturday night might have been the greatest spectacle I've seen in sports in a long time. That was insane. Bear, did you watch it?
I came back later and saw some.
Golly.
It was interesting.
We flipped over what was it? Was it Friday night or Saturday night?
It was Saturday night.
Yeah, Saturday night.
USA, Canada.
Yes, I'm aware.
4 nations face off.
I know they played. I just couldn't remember if it was Friday
we did.
night or
We talked about it late last week. Nobody knew what the 4 nations face off was.
I don't know how they decide the 4 nations, but I do know that when you boo the national anthem and there are 3 fights in 9 seconds, you got my attention. All right. Now you got my attention. And it's in Montreal, which is French Canadian, not just any Canadian, French Canadian. So the level of superiority is at even a higher level than that of other areas. But dude, tremendous action. And then it was only just so appropriate that the NBA All-Star game was the following day and or at the same time if you wanted to watch the skills challenge. And boy, let me tell you, we've now seen a guy jump over a Kia to win the slam dunk contest twice in the last 15 years. Neither time did it really blow my mind. But to see guys that sit out because they have a sore ankle in basketball, and in hockey, a guy would literally die on the ice for his country. Like in an exhibition, still an exhibition. But golly, man, it was a good watch. It was such a good watch to see professional athletes with nothing to play for that left it all out there. The devastation on the Canadian side and the glee and jubilation on the American side is amazing.
Yeah, I didn't get to see it. We went out to eat after the Auburn Alabama game and got back home, and I just flipped to the dunk contest and wanted to watch it, and I actually thought McClung's performance was pretty impressive. Not just the dunk over the Kiev. He had 50 on 4 dunks, and I thought they were all pretty crazy good. But I didn't even realize it was on. So
why sit down on 4 nations?
Not down on it. Just had literally no idea that it was taking place. So that's my fault, as people pointed out on Twitter. The highlights.
Did you see the highlights?
Yeah,
it
looks incredible.
Yeah, it was insane.
Some of the checks into the boards and whatnot, and
it would have been right up your alley.
It's just the championship game is Thursday, by the way, on ESPN, 7:00.
Oh yeah. Who are we playing?
First win versus Canada for the United States since the 2010 Olympic preliminary round.
See, legendary moment.
I have to go check the schedule to see who. It's TBD, by the way.
But given the politicized nature of the Canadian-American relationship right now, and not going on that rabbit hole, I really don't care to comment on that. But knowing that if you boo the national anthem, the American guys will take that very personally, and they're going to make you feel it in the first 9 seconds. Straight didn't even go after the puck drop. Didn't even go after the face-off. Just immediate gloves to the ground, roll up the sleeves, and let's go. It was incredible, dude. It was so awesome. I wish so bad you could have watched it in real time, because the reaction was like, whoa, what just happened? This is a big game. And sure enough, they didn't care. It was awesome.
Yeah, and like I said, I kind of wasn't even really aware that it was on, and didn't have an idea that it was gonna go, and it definitely didn't know it would be that entertaining. I mean,
you're not a hockey guy, dude. You're just a Rangers guy.
Well, when you've got Team Chuck taking down Team Kenny 41-32, and Team Shaq taking down Team Candace 42-35, and then Team Shaq getting the championship over Team Chuck 41-25, it's hard to focus your attention on anything else.
Yeah. Tell you what, man, catch the thrill of the NBA All-Star game. Wow. What an event.
It's a tournament, Greg.
Yeah. Games.
It's not a game. It's a tournament.
Whatever it is. I saw Wemby and Chris Paul's thing on social media or whatever.
What's wrong with just getting the balls up there as fast as you can, trying to win? It's a timed event. I thought Wemby did what he needed to do to go out there and get a W. Yeah. Everybody's mad at him.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't not follow the rules, but
I thought it was hilarious. Game the system. Who cares?
Yeah.
If you missed it, Wembanyama, but not even looking on the 3-pointers off the rack, just heaving them towards the goal as fast as he can to save time. I thought it was great. I mean, why not? You go out there and try to get the best time possible.
Yeah.
So,
no.
but yeah, there was a lot
that.
going on. It was a good weekend for sports. There's a lot of cool things happening. Like I said, I thought McClung was unbelievable, but I realized he's not really on an NBA
He's also
team.
not on an NBA team. He's made more money in the slam dunk contest than he has in his G League career.
He has. Not going to say that his dunks weren't crazy impressive and not just over the car, which was, I thought the reverse was the best dunk that he had. I thought it was creative. I thought it was unique. I thought I was interested in it. So
he can dunk. There's no doubt. I don't know if he can play. He can definitely dunk.
I don't think it matters. That was a very difficult conversation with my 7-year-old, by the way, is why he was so good at dunking, but obviously not good at basketball, because he felt like they kind of go hand in hand together. And I had to explain it's not how it works. There used to be an and one team for that. And
Yes.
it's not a real thing.
Gosh, he'd be so good on and one.
He'd be the best. He'd be like the professor in 50 and 1.
Yeah.
You get 2 roster spots in 1.
Escalade is still the GOAT, though.
He's that guy that takes up multiple roster spots late in the draft. He'd bring extreme value. Kind of like Bromberg's does, which, by the way, I went to
Yes.
the Bromberg's location on the 14th and got 2 vases.
It's a double up.
Got the
Vietri
trinket
vase.
that came with it.
Yes.
Got the flowers that came with it. My daughter loved her vase with her
Why
trinket
keep calling it a
engraved.
vase? It's
I don't
a
know
vase.
what it is. Right? It's Bromberg's. It's fancy. I thought that's what you had to call it. Had a great visit
Not
with
a
Frank
vase?
over there. It was awesome. Yeah, they did a great job. So I was very appreciative of it.
Let's go. Feel great about that. Well, now that the Vietri hibiscus glass vases are spoken for, you can still go get one if you want one. It's just not going to come with free flowers and an engraved gold little medallion on there. But you can still go get a natural diamond. And we know that the natural diamonds are incredible. They support so many people around the world. And if you're a nerd like me, it's pretty cool that diamond's life began 3 billion years ago. Pretty mind-blowing when you think about that possibility, and that it was at one point 100 miles deep below the surface of the earth. It's crazy, and to know that timeless gemstone will be with us forever. It's a generational purchase and something that you need to make sure you take very seriously. That's why you need to go to Bromberg's, where the sales staff can point you in the right direction and get you the diamond that will make your loved one so happy. Go and see them in Mountain Brook Village and at the Summit. It's Bromberg's.
All right, when we come back, our top 3 next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Monday, February 17th, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:48 a.m. right here on Jocks 94.5. Listen online, jocksfm.com. You can watch live on YouTube each and every morning. Search Jocks 945. Top three comes to you each and every morning. It does not have to be sports. It can be anything else. It can be good. It can be bad. Sure to be bad today. As I was set to ask your top three dunks all time. Since that topic was completely pooped on, we will move on to our top three American sports moments of your lifetime. I will begin. Number one will be the 92 basketball team taking gold. I understand what The Miracle on Ice was. It's a movie. I wasn't sitting there watching it, so I don't know how that went. I don't know what that was like.
You don't think the movie was just like the reality? Like, you don't think it was exactly
No, I think
the same?
it was very similar. I wasn't like, this is for me, like that I consumed. That's how I meant the topic.
Yes.
Number two, I'm going to kind of group it all together, and I'm going to go with the entire NFL weekend after 9/11, which was just incredible, including that next, I believe, I don't know if they played that on a Monday night or a Tuesday night. The next weekend, though, just that whole weekend was just unbelievable from a patriotic standpoint. And then number three, I'll go Team USA winning gymnastics, not this past Olympics, but I guess that would be 5 years ago now. And basically because Suni Lee was coming to Auburn, so that was pretty cool. Those would be the top three for me.
Really?
Yep.
Suni Lee over Michael Johnson with his gold spikes in Atlanta?
I was watching that, yeah. But then he got...
No, it's Suni Lee.
They did the pay-per-view up in Canada with like the in-between 150 or whatever, and he got smoked. So...
Whoa. Easy. First of all...
Just telling you what happened.
Michael Johnson...
The reality of it.
Michael Johnson ripped.
Yeah, he's great. One of the best Nike ads I've ever seen.
I think the 9/11 one's a good one. I don't really remember... I mean, I know I watched football that day. I was 13. 12. I just don't really remember anything specific outside of guys carrying the flags and just being like kind of a weird, eerie time. That'd be it's a good one. It was just
kind of that, like just kind of how patriotic everything was that they were doing. Some of the anthems were pretty incredible. I don't think it was like a specific one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think anytime, and this is not someone that like watches a ton of NASCAR, but every time I watch the Daytona 500, I have like a little bit of like America.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yes, yeah. I want to turn on Freebird and make it rain. Like, I really do. It's just something about the Daytona 500. I don't really know why. The Indianapolis 500 doesn't do it for me. Wow. I don't know if it's just more international.
Yeah, all those international drivers.
I don't think that's what it is. It's Daytona. I watch it every year.
You can't celebrate with milk. You need beer.
It's well said.
Why is it not like the Charlotte race then on Memorial Day, whatever it is?
Like the Coca-Cola 400?
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. It's always a good one. I would say when President Bush threw a strike over the plate,
World Series first
pitch, that would have been one of the more awesome things.
With the Kevlar on.
Yeah. Just right down the pipe. No doubt. That would be up there for me as well. And then I'd still think Michael Johnson in Atlanta. I mean, I was 8. It was like as impressionable as it gets. Like, could not be more fired up about that. But honorable mention when Kerry Strug landed with one leg.
Oh, yeah.
Were you alive when that happened?
Yeah. I was like 8. It's in Atlanta. But Kerry Strug over Suni Lee by a mile. Not even close. She landed on one leg.
Yeah.
A vault.
And I mean, if that didn't make you patriotic, I don't know what did.
That was a big USA guy from that point forward.
That was definitely
That's what did it. Oh,
That's what
that
did
was
it.
100% it.
John?
Muhammad Ali lighting the torch in Atlanta was pretty sweet too.
Take that one off the list.
Oh, that was on there?
Yeah, that's fine. It's
love
okay.
it. Might be.
That's fine.
Oh,
Any more
92.
before? I mean, I can. Okay. Honorable mention is the Dream Team. That one I did want to put in there, but these three I do think take the cake. Number 3 is Serena Kripwalken at Wimbledon, because not only did she, win again at Wimbledon.
This?
2012.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember this at all.
Oh yeah. I watched a lot.
That was patriotic moment.
I mean, that's American.
It is.
I don't see Crips out in Egypt or Beijing or anything. Number 2, Brandi Chastain winning the 1999 Women's World Cup.
Good one.
I mean, I don't. That was the first time like I really noticed like, oh, okay, like we're good in various other things other than really just basketball and a couple other Olympic sports. It's like, oh, and just to watch them win the way that they did absolutely was phenomenal. But number 1, I wasn't live for it. I've seen the footage, and but it's a seminal moment. It's Jesse Owens dominating the 19 in that Olympics. More of a, okay, I mean, you can say what you want, but we're America, we're here. What are you going to do about it?
All right, Damian.
Oh boy, here we go. Y'all made me feel extremely young. All the memories y'all had in 1992, where I was I wasn't alive till 4 years later, but it is what it is. Number 3 for me, I'm going with the New York Giants knocking off the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl, 17-14, because that was at that point in time, the best football team I had ever seen in the New England Patriots, and y'all's boy Eli Manning did pull off the upset. I think that was the beginning of a Hall of Fame career, correct?
Eli Manning was an all-world quarterback.
That's what you said, so yes.
Dang.
The doggone media, man. They twist up your words. Number 2 for me, I actually have the Redeem team from 2008, national basketball team that went over there to they knocked off Spain. Yeah, they knocked off Spain in the championship game, and Kobe Bryant runs through Paul Gasol's chest after they were teammates on the Los Angeles Lakers and kind of getting back the gold after finishing with bronze back in 2004. And number 1, kind of close to home, but it's the Kick Six in the Iron Bowl.
That made you feel like America?
Nothing,
made me feel like Russia.
Feels more patriotic than that.
Yeah.
I mean,
the underdog toppling the
nothing better than West Georgia.
It was just
Giants turning a kick to the house.
It was the craziest finish to a football game I'd ever seen in my life.
How is it that we just did 12 and there was not one mention of Michael Phelps?
Probably because he did it 78 times.
Right.
When he won the 7 golds or whatever, though, and he barely made the one. Remember, he made the one by a quarter of an inch. That was probably as patriotic as I felt watching anything in the modern day. I thought Damian would go Michael Phelps for sure.
Nah, we're good.
I just think with him, there's too many to choose from.
There are a lot.
And half of them were at 3 a.m. or on replay. You don't know what's live and what's not live. So it's just kind of tough to figure out sometimes. But, I mean, he was obviously greatest Olympian ever.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Top 3 Olympians ever.
Besides Suni.
She's up there for me. 100%. Your CBD store can help you get a better night's sleep. Broad Spectrum Mango CBG gummies that are in stock now at the largest brick and mortar CBD retailer in the world. They focus their attention on being the best plant sciences company out there. So if it's arthritis, anxiety for you or your pet, better focus throughout the course of the day. Better sleep, they can help you with all that. The Trim by SunMed on the shelves now if you need help with weight loss. Visit one of their 3 locations, Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cage in Cleaver, and Trustful just off 459. Your CBD store where good health hits home. Back with more Mac and Cube right after this. 8 o'clock hour number 2, Monday, February 17th, Jocks 94.5. Listen online, jocksfm.com. The app is in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can download that for free. Also, watch live on YouTube every morning. Search Jocks 945, and you can tune in live to the show that way. Greg Skipworth tweeting in, I went to Edmonton, Alberta, and watched the Oilers. Amazing experience at center ice, Greg, for your hockey talk that you were having today.
What does that make? What does that have to do with patriotism?
I just that I think watching hockey in that part of the world is what he was saying.
Ah, yes.
American travels.
This one was taking place.
American travels, dog.
I can get on board with that.
Did you think that the fights early in this match, this game, were orchestrated
on the pitch?
Saturday night?
Yes.
They just decided right out of the gate that's what they were going to do. That's how it was going to go.
No, dude. I mean, I think that Canada knew it was coming. I mean, it was literally 30. I mean, it was 9 seconds in the game. They had 3 fights. Puck drop, drops the gloves. Puck drop, drops the gloves. Puck drop, drops the gloves. I mean, 3 straight face-offs, dude. It was insane. Yes, it was absolutely coordinated. They said if they boo the anthem, we're going to go. And we'll show you. We're going to defend our country. We're going to defend our flag. We're going to defend our national anthem. And
they did it.
We're going to throw hands.
There you go.
It was a very patriotic moment. I hate that it was glorified WWE to an extent, but it did make me feel proud to be an American for those first couple minutes of the game, man. All fired up for sure.
Jolly tweets in, 2 games today determine what Thursday will be. Everything shifted to Boston. So you get today at noon on TNT, Canada, Finland. And then tonight on TNT, Sweden, USA.
Okay.
So you get to go again tonight, Greg.
Let's go.
From TD Garden in Boston.
We don't have Sweden, not as much of a rival, but I'll be watching.
If they boo the anthem, then we're good.
It's on site.
Someone tells me Sweden's not going to boo the anthem. They're in straight find out mode.
Oh.
To be fair, I hope we don't boo an anthem. It is Boston now. I mean,
yeah, it can get rough.
So, yeah.
I mean, it could be worse. It could be Philly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Potentially see that
Hopefully
happen.
there's no Santa Claus that's just, wandering around Boston there. I think they'll be pretty fired up tonight.
I think based on what you said about Saturday night, yeah, it'll be pretty rowdy. It should be fun. I will try to switch over to it. All right, want to give you your time to chime in on Auburn, Alabama over the weekend. 800-239-9569. You want to get in. 205-834-9450. Apologize to the 2 gentlemen that I met in Costco yesterday who asked me not to discuss this game on the air today. Both pleasant gentlemen. Enjoyed meeting them, talking to them. I appreciate them listening to the show, but told them that we were going to have to discuss it. So my apologies for that. We will move forward with it.
I'm confused. Why did they not want to talk about it?
They were Alabama fans.
Gotcha.
Nate Oates on a disappointing loss to Auburn and that things close to the basket, a big advantage for the Tigers.
Obviously, it's a disappointing loss. You got to give Auburn a lot of credit. The number 1 team in the country for a reason. They did a great job, I thought, on their defensive end, trying to take away our threes. We didn't shoot it very well, but they contested them. They did a good job contesting our shots at the rim too. We had them for 7 block shots, our stats. So we didn't make great rim reads, but they got us off the 3-point line, pushed us in. They made big plays at the rim. We shot under 50% at the rim. Can't do that.
Oh, yeah, it's layups and threes, right, Greg? Is what Nate Oates' offense calls for a lot of the times. And when you have some higher percentage shots and you can't get them to go down, it's going to end up as being a frustrating afternoon regardless.
Especially when, the 3 isn't there and then all of a sudden you get frustrated and you throw up some sloppy, crazy layup out of control that really has no chance of going in. Felt like that happened a handful of times. Felt like there was just not a ton of creativity off the ball. Like I was watching Auburn, for example, there was a handful of moments where they'd get some type of screen and all of a sudden they have someone down there for an uncontested layup. And they had just some really creative stuff offensively. And I felt like we kind of lacked that. Everything that we tried felt like there was a hand in our face or we were retreating. Or we were going to the basket out of control. So it was a little bit alarming, I guess, from that standpoint, that Auburn was able to get so many buckets that really were pretty dang easy, uncontested. And it felt like every single point we scored was earned because it was a tough shot that they were having to knock down. So it's probably something worth monitoring going forward. Not that I know all the schematics and things like that, but do think that there's some things that we can probably do off the ball that would maybe make things a little bit easier against really good defenses like Auburn.
We mentioned in the first hour of the show, Auburn getting off to a good start in that game. What it meant, what it did. Nate Oates discussed just Auburn's hot start and how that affected the game.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, we talk about starts and closed the halves. Started out 9-zip in the game. I think they ended the half on a 6-0 run, if I told correctly. So that's 15 points right there. We come out in the second half. It goes from 9 to 14 before the first media timeout. That's another 5 points. So now you're up to 20, and then I believe they, we tied it at one point. If you take it from there on, we got outscored by 9. So we lose the game by 9. So the start to the first half, into the first half, start to the second half, into the second half, they're plus 29. If you take those runs together, that's we talk about starts and closes of the halves a lot, and we did an awful job, and they did a great job of it. So, yes, to answer your point, the scoreless run we closed the half out with, not good. We go in down 9. So we got to be better on both sides of the ball, the starts and closes to both halves moving forward.
All right, not good, as you heard Nate Oates there discussing, and you mentioned it earlier, not as good from behind the three-point line, Greg, and just the perimeter game for Alabama, not quite there. 5 of 26 from behind the three-point line. No player hit more than a single three other than Mark Sears, but he went 2 of 11 from behind the three-point line. And as I said earlier, the 2 threes he did hit were massive because Alabama needed some life, and it injected something, got them back into that game, got the crowd back into that game. But then it couldn't be consistent after that and allowed Auburn to be able to come back and hold on to that win there in Coleman.
Yeah, and it was not just threes weren't falling. A lot of them were from way deep. I mean, I don't know how many were from 40 feet, but goodness gracious, it felt like a handful. I mean, so they were getting forced out even further than normal. It was just really not great from a makeability perspective. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know these guys are super comfortable now with Steph and shooting it from the logo, but I don't think you want to make a living doing that. And felt like, gosh, maybe half their threes were from super deep. It felt like
it couldn't have been worse than Mr. Beast's challenge from the logo yesterday at the All-Star game, which just killed the momentum of the entire thing.
Another great event. What a great event.
You can't ask a fan to shoot from half court.
Why?
Sit there and hope that they're going to make it. Like, it's just that can't.
Didn't the guy make it?
Yeah, about 15 minutes in. Yeah, he finally did.
It was a buzzer beater.
As long as you get that viral moment, that's all the NBA cares about right now. Is as long as you get that viral moment that goes
not viral for me to have to sit through the other
media.
14 and a half minutes of it. So
all it takes is 30
not
seconds.
Very exciting. Bruce Pearl discussed the potential of playing Alabama again after March the 8th.
Yeah, one more time, I guess. That's a Final Four good team. But there's a long way to go. It's just a long, long way to go. You look at our league with 3 number ones, three teams on a 1 line, a couple teams on a 2 line. Look good for Texas A&M to jump in there like that in the Sweet 16. And I don't know. We just take them one at a time. We got Arkansas coming in on Wednesday. I am a big fan of making history, and I do know that, 1-2s are rare. And we've got 2 road wins in the 1-2 matchup that I will cherish.
So we'll see if they take place again. He mentions Arkansas will be at Neville Arena Wednesday night at 8. Unfortunately, also at 8 Wednesday night on the SEC Network, Alabama's at Missouri. So we get those 2 next time they're on the court at the exact same time. So you have to split the screens to watch both and see how they go. But a little bit of extra time off here, Greg. You can imagine everything that went into this game day, obviously mentally, emotionally, the way that the game went, it was pretty physical. It was up-tempo for more of the game than I actually thought it would be. Good to probably get a little bit of extra time. I heard an interview with Bruce a little bit later in the evening, Saturday night, talking about how he was just going to go to the lake house. They gave everybody the day off on Sunday and he was just going to kind of relax and try to enjoy it before they got back into the grind of this season. But good that these two teams are going to have just a little bit of extra time off and not have to go Tuesday after everything that went into that game on Saturday.
Well, I do think that at this point, when you have a build up to a game like that and the excitement, the conversation, that's why we talk so much about the games that were between Vanderbilt and Texas last week. I mean, when you have a game that's circled that significantly, man, I think the only thing you can do after the fact is just take a deep breath, kind of collectively allow the emotions to come down a little bit and just get away from it. I mean, just get away from it as best you can, whether it's in victory or defeat. Get away from it. Don't think about it. And now start to move forward, knowing that there's still an awful lot left on the schedule. I mean, that was part of the challenge now looking at that game from an Alabama fan's perspective, is that one felt like a must win because of how much of a gauntlet the rest of the schedule is. It feels, can they absolutely win the SEC? For sure. But it's going to be a lot tougher now that game did not go in their favor because of the challenges that are lying in front of them. So
what does it do to your thoughts though moving forward? 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. I've seen a lot of folks talking about tinkering with the lineup, certain players getting more minutes, other players getting less minutes. From an Alabama perspective, did it change your thoughts on the rest of the season? I don't know. The things that would bother me about this game if I were an Alabama fan is you got Dylan Cardwell out of the game. You got Chad Baker-Mazara out of the game. So all of a sudden, depth should have been a little bit of an issue. You had Janai Broome tweak his ankle again, had to go out, had his shoe off on the sideline while Cardwell was out of the game, and you couldn't take advantage of that. That's the thing that would kind of bother me just a little bit, is that you had moments that it looked like Auburn was, no pun intended, limping around in this game and had them, pinned in the corner, and you couldn't take advantage of it. You couldn't keep them down and go out and find a way to win.
I think that's Cardwell being out. I mean, I think he played 14 minutes, 15 minutes, 12. So however many minutes he played, I mean, him being out felt like something that could have been taken advantage of, for sure. And yeah, there were opportunities, I think, to kind of flip the script, but there's just some aspects of this team that occasionally are frustrating, whether it's turnovers or poor shot selection, or one guy trying to do way too much. There's parts of this team that are a little frustrating, and they can be exploited against teams that are excellent talent wise and that are extremely well coached. So I think that's a problem. That's something that, I think is going to continue to be a problem, because if you turn it over in the NCAA tournament and you're not shooting it at 48%, you could absolutely, in a one and done situation, come up on the losing end. There's some great coaches and look, the goal now is to win a national championship. I mean, this team is good enough to do it. So I mean, there's some frustrations, but it's not anything that we haven't seen before. It's kind of been there all season long.
Nate Oates would discuss after the game just not only Mark Sears, but the team not shooting well Saturday afternoon against Auburn.
Not good. We, obviously he's a competitor. He wants to win at a high level. He's been able to impact winning for most of his career by scoring the ball. It wasn't one of his better shooting nights. When he did get it going there, kind of in the middle of the second half, I thought his defensive intensity picked up, and that's when we made the run and tied it up. But we got to be able to play hard even when shots aren't going well. I think that's a sign of, high character guys. How hard do you play when shots aren't dropping, and can you keep moving the ball even if, maybe sometimes he needs to get 10 assists. The whole team only had 8 assists today. Nobody had more than 2, so it wasn't just him that maybe didn't move it as much. Him and Barron had 2 each, and then nobody else had more than 1 assist. Like, the ball just wasn't moving well, period, for our entire team.
There's still some cold weather that is going to intensify here over the next few days, so make sure you get your system checkup now from a Trane Comfort Specialist. Trane has been recognized 10 consecutive years as America's most trusted HVAC brand and our exclusive home partners here at Jocks. Visit Trane.com to find a comfort specialist near you. It's hard to stop a Trane. You're going to have off shooting nights. You're going to have poor shooting nights, Greg. And that's we talk about it in football sometimes, of teams that can find different ways to win. And when their super strength or superpower is not there, can you offset that by playing good defense, getting turnovers, running the ball better, whatever that might be? What should those alternate ways be for this Alabama team to find wins when maybe the threes aren't going down? Like, what do you look at as maybe their number 2, number 3 strengths that have to be there if the threes aren't going?
I mean, they're a good rebounding team. I mean, they got to
out rebounded Auburn in this game.
They can get after you in the rebound, so that's helpful. I think they're pretty good on defense. I don't think they're elite on defense, but I think they're pretty good. I think those are the two things. Like if you're not shooting it well, you got to get a lot of second chance points, and you got to just kind of button down the hatches on defense. Like because this is not going to be a team that's all of a sudden going to become some slice and dice team that just starts to get to the rim and penetrate and and fills it up with shots that are on the interior. They don't have an offensive presence that can play the five. And you can tell me Grant Nelson. I think Grant Nelson's really good, but I think he's better on the perimeter, and he can use his length out there. So he's not a guy that I want back to the basket, like going up against Janai Broom or Cardwell. Like I don't think that's something that's going to work out very well. So I think it's kind of a tough situation. Like if the threes aren't falling, it's not good. Not good for us under any circumstance.
All right, text into the show 205-834-9450. Your thoughts on this game. We'll get to your feedback. You can call in now, too, if you want to talk Auburn, Alabama on the hardwood, 800-239-9569. A couple of other wins in state that we need to discuss on the other side. Tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. A couple of you chiming in there. On the other side, we'll get to your feedback and discuss something that happened in one of the in-state teams that has not been done in a long time. That's next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 8:19 Monday, February 17th, Jocks 94.5. Watch live on YouTube. Search Jocks 945. Listen online, jocksfm.com. 800-239-9569. You want to get in, talk Auburn, Alabama from over the weekend. Couple folks chiming in via Twitter. Greg Skipworth tweets in at Mac and Cube. Aub did everything it needed to win on the road. Bama did nothing well at all to win at home. Kudos to Aub. Nothing.
I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of hope outside.
Scored 85. Only the second team to do that against Auburn this year.
Needed how many, though?
95.
95 would have been ideal.
Still got a little ways to go there.
Jolly tweets in, Auburn looked like a powerhouse. Alabama looked rough. Live by the three, die by the three. Feel like Alabama didn't try to get to the stripe and slow the game and get some old school three-point plays. Alabama will get a redemption chance in a few weeks. Yes, they will.
I do think they're. I mean, they got to the line a couple times. Like, would have liked to have seen them maybe
35 times.
Knock down a couple more
times.
No, knock
35,
down a couple.
35 free throws. Alabama shot.
Knocked down a couple more free throws.
But it was the officials. But they shot 35 threes in the game. Auburn shot 32.
Talking about threes or
technicals called against Alabama in the game.
Well, how many did Alabama deserve?
How many did Auburn deserve?
Probably twice as many as they got.
4.
There's a couple.
Brushing
things.
your hand against a guy's face while he's elbowing you out of bounds.
Is that what that was? That's what we're calling that?
What would you like to call it?
You think it was brushing his guy's face?
Would he slap him? Barely touched him.
I'd lean.
One Will Smith.
We have gone from Yay America 9 fights in 3 seconds to touch me in face and violation of life principles. Wow.
Yeah, that's America. We went from old school America to this Damien's generation.
It's basketball.
If you want to say it was a makeup call for what Mazzari did about 3 possessions earlier, I'd be fine with that because that's what I appeared that it was, to me at least. But
okay, so either way, deserving of a technical?
Not at that point, no. Not when you're riding a guy out of bounds.
Not at any point?
If you want to give him a tech earlier, then give him the tech earlier. Or go review a play that's not reviewable and then tell people what happened on the play when it wasn't reviewable in the first place.
Hey, don't shoot the messenger. Just because you want to play dirty, it's fine. It's not a big deal.
I'm all for it. Muck it up.
Do whatever you got to do. Do whatever you got to do.
Get the win. Get all the ladies in the front row pissed off. I'm for it. Yeah.
Wow.
Let them all yell at you. Get all those frat boys pushing you back onto the court. Looked fun.
Why they got to be frat boys? Let me just tell you, I don't think there's a heavy contingent of frat boys in the front row.
Maybe not. Maybe at one point.
Alumni chapter.
Probably the heavy hitters in the
nope, not in hoops.
In the peach quarter zips. Big tough guys. Push you when you can't see me. I love that.
Can't see the peach?
I think we saw it. I think everybody saw what happened.
Should that have been a technical too? On the crowd?
I think it should have been allowed to have been dealt with.
Like with what? You just want to throw hands?
I mean, you push a guy when he's playing on the court.
You're subject to anything that happens after that.
I feel like that is handleable at that point. But we know how that would have gone.
Yeah. I don't think that would have been a good idea.
Probably not.
That's not something I can recommend.
But if it happens.
Yeah, right.
I think we all know where that would have gone.
Right.
There was something that took place in college basketball over the weekend that I haven't seen in quite some time. Sanford gets the win over Wofford 76-68. Sanford goes to 20-7. That's 4 straight 20-win seasons for Bucky McMillan at Sanford. Just an incredible job. And this is actually a great comeback. We had this game on watching it. Trey Fort was incredible. 36 points, 4 of 6 from behind the three-point line. Ryland Jones had a couple big plays late, 14 points. Sanford was only 9 of 27 from 3. And I don't know if you guys saw any of the highlights from this. Wofford goes to 14-13. Kyler Filewich, the center for Wofford, he got 18 points in the game. Big physical kid, did some good things in the game, but he was 6 of 10 from the free throw line. The kicker here was he shot his free throws granny style.
And?
Went 6 of 10.
So if you're going to shoot at granny, it needs to go
Oh, no,
You need to go 8 of 10?
he made 6 underhand, which I thought was incredible.
Well, to be honest with you, according to Hoosiers, that's actually a little bit better way to shoot free throws.
Also, I thought impressive is that one of the 6 that he made was banked in.
Oh.
Underhand free throw.
That one makes perfect sense.
The video that I shared via Twitter. So I don't know. I know that, once again, some lengthy conversations around basketball with my 7-year-old this weekend of why someone would be doing this. He thought they were playing horse in the middle of a game, to which I feel like Kyle Fitowicz would probably dominate you in horse if he can bank underhand free throws on a regular basis. But I had just not seen this done. I mean, have we had a guy since Rick Barry that did this?
Not enough.
I hadn't seen it.
Some people have tried like the one-handed. Some people have tried like the different style shots for free throws, but I haven't seen a guy literally go underhand in a while. And the broadcast said he had only been doing it for 3 or 4 games. But
does that mean you have the yips? Like if you just decide all of a sudden, it's like in golf, if you decide to chip one-handed, like you have the yips.
Something's wrong.
If you decide to go granny style on your free throws, like something like it's an indication of mental weakness to me. Like you gotta just fight through it. You can't do and don't get me wrong. I understand the granny style is a perfectly fine way to shoot free throws, but you still have to absorb the wrath of social media and your boys. Is it worth it?
If it goes in.
If your
boys are going to give you a hard time though.
Or will they give you more of a hard time if you shot, let's say, 42% from the free throw line attempting to shoot it regular?
I'd rather take the 60.
By the way, his career mark is 37.5%.
From the free throw line?
Correct.
Whew.
That in and of itself a bad box score today, of which we have multiple all-timers today coming up in the final segment of the show.
Yeah, if you shoot that going, 40-something, whatever. Look, Shaq was like a 53% free throw shooter. So if you're shooting granny and going under 50, yeah, you deserve all the ridicule.
All right, he shot 47% during his first 2 seasons at Southern Illinois. 3 seasons at Wofford, it's gotten worse, going from 40.7 his first season to 31.6 last season, 31.2 this year. Ooh. Yikes.
Something needed to change, I guess. So.
Yeah,
got so bad that he's now utilizing underhand free throws. This story on Saturday Down South says, affectionately referred to as, quote, granny style by many. Yeah.
Affectionately.
That's the only way I know it, really and truly. But, yeah, I said he's only been doing this for a couple of games. So,
I mean, I respect it.
He went 1 for 2 in his first game doing it, 0 for 4 against Mercer in his second game doing it, but has hit 60% since his last 2 games. 4 for 6 against Citadel. 6 of 10 Sanford.
Well,
it's aggressive.
It's an improvement, so I guess as long as it's going in, I don't care how you shoot.
Well, because one of the announcers said, he's only been doing this for a couple of days, and I was like, really? He didn't do this as a kid growing up, like playing horse, like messing around. We've all done it.
You have to try it.
We've all messed around with it. I mean,
right.
I don't know. I had never seen it before in a live game where someone legitimately had gone to that. I'm trying to think, like, what are some of the other things guys have done? I know, like, there was a one-handed free throw that someone did, like the different free throw styles that people have implemented when they were really struggling to try to do some different things. I know there have been some wacky, free throw variations that people have gone to. Yeah. I don't know. I just can't remember any differences.
I just say try with the opposite hand first, like just to see.
I don't know if I can do lefty, but I think I'd probably go granny style before lefty.
I actually think that's something that's happened, which was really impressive because when Hank Gathers passed away for Loyola Marymount going into the tournament, Bo Kimball shot his free throws left-handed in that tournament to honor him, and he made them, which I remember watching as a kid, like, how? If I went out there and tried to shoot a free throw left-handed right now, my chances of hitting the rim would be close to 0.
Yeah.
I can't even make a left-handed layup. So I don't know.
I feel like a lefty shot is much more difficult than granny style. I just don't know. Like, do the kids think that's cool? Hey, what's old is new. That's kind of back. Like, things are back. I saw a commercial yesterday. Actually, yeah, it was for the Saturday Night Live thing last night. I saw a commercial, and they were talking about how you can, rent denim jackets now. I'm like, those are back now.
Rent?
Yeah, you can rent them. There was a commercial on the Saturday Night Live thing last night. I'm not
actual
trying.
One or like an SNL commercial?
No, it was a real one.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, 'cause, I mean,
you got to differentiate
it
for
could have
sure.
been,
No, it was a
yeah,
real
yeah.
thing. So I'd guess those are in now. Like, I don't know. I just need to know whether or not granny style, maybe that's going to be in vogue. Someone tells me it probably won't make its way to the NBA, but maybe that's the technique they're teaching nowadays.
Yeah, due for the Spurs with the green hair, not Rodman. Shot his free throws one-handed. I found a video, B-ball breakdown, crazy free throw forms in the NBA that worked. Yeah, he's shooting them one-handed. Jeremy Sochan.
Yeah, I saw him on Christmas.
There have been a couple other guys, though, that have done like some wacky things that were a little bit different as far as shooting them in different ways. So, I don't know. I think Filipowski should try to bank his because he had no success like regularly shooting them. So, we did get a free throw on an air ball in Alabama-Auburn, by the way.
We did.
Felt like that went way under the radar.
We did.
Not only did it go way under the radar, it went way under the net. I think I've never seen a free throw so bad. Seriously.
It was
I don't know how it happened.
It was embarrassing.
Did it hit the net?
I think
I'd really like
I think
to
it might have
clipped it.
grazed.
Like at the bottom.
Yeah, like
Clipped it
grazed.
at the very
Both
end.
all of us looked at each other. I was like, "What just?
Did
what
this
was
just
that?
happen?
How did you do that?
That's not a real
It's like
thing.
it
a lot
slipped out of
times.
his hands. Happens.
Not a real thing most of the times. So, yeah, it's really surprising when you see it and it takes place. But either way, North Alabama gets a win against Jacksonville. They go to 19-8 on the season, 92-79, shot 54%, had two players over 20 points. UAB gets a really nice win against USF yesterday, 85-78. Lindenborg, man, guys, it's unbelievable. He's got 7 straight double-doubles. That's the longest streak by an American Conference player the last 20 years. 21 points, 19 rebounds yesterday. Not to mention, he was 6 of 6 from the free throw line, talking about Biggs hitting free throws. He had 3 assists, 6 blocks in the game as well. UAB's got 7 straight home wins in conference play. They had 11 blocks yesterday. I mean, Andy Kennedy's group was just doing everything that you want to see your team do. 46-33, the rebounding differential in favor of UAB. As a team, shot 20 of 25 from the free throw line, 7 of 17 from behind the three-point line. Just a really nice win. They go to 16-9 on the season. So UAB, Andy Kennedy's group looking pretty strong right now. South Alabama, 70-65 in overtime over Texas State. Alabama State knocked off Arkansas Pine Bluff, 75-63. They shot Arkansas Pine Bluff, by the way, shot 12 of 29 for 3, but turned it over 17 times. TJ Madlock had 20 points for the Hornets. They get that win. Alabama A&M 82-70 over Mississippi Valley State, who goes to 3-22 on the year. How about this? 17 players got minutes for Alabama A&M in this game Saturday. 17.
I didn't even know you could have 17 on the team.
12 of them scored.
Depth.
12 players scored a point in the game for Alabama A&M against Mississippi Valley State. And Alabama A&M's 8-17, by the way. Troy knocked off Arkansas State 71-70. Troy now 17-9 on the season. So a lot of college basketball in state over the weekend. And then a couple other games, obviously, that had big repercussions. Memphis went down to Wichita State yesterday, 84-79 in overtime. We'll get to some other of the SEC scores and talk a little bit of college football. What we mentioned with Paul Feinbaum a little bit earlier, where are things headed next with the SEC, the Big Ten, and the rest of college football? Ross Dellinger has some interesting reporting on how that looks right now and maybe where things are going. We'll discuss it right after this on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Monday, February 17th, 8:37 a.m. right here on Jocks 94.5. A couple folks chiming in on our previous segment. Tim Cook tweets in, Cardwell needs to shoot Granny style. Like threes or free throws.
If he shot Granny style threes, how much clout would you get?
If you made them.
If you make them, hey.
Yeah, I feel like you'd have more Instagram followers than Mac McClung.
Do you have to jump when you do that? Or are you doing that flat-footed or?
Flat-footed.
Yeah, it seems like a set shot.
Would imagine you would jump. Also, tweeting into the show, Tim Cook, how about Jack State? Road win against La Tech, first place CUSA. You try to get to them all and just you try to do the right thing. And it's just never enough. It never is.
Tim Cook's got a busy week. We got new Apple stuff coming out.
I did say earlier in the show.
It's a new cryptocurrency, supposedly.
Jack State, number one CUSA. I forgot to mention, I'm sorry. 70-68, Jacksonville State at Louisiana Tech Saturday. So my apologies for that. Left that one out. I'll do better next time.
Hope both people listening that were upset about it will forgive us.
Kurt also tweets in, Rick Barry of the Lakers shot underhanded.
Heck yeah.
Hank Gathers of Loyola Marymount shot one-handed, left-handed before he had a heart attack and passed away while playing in the game. I think we covered that one also.
Rick Barry, when did Rick Barry play?
I was before my time.
70s.
So he was in the 70s?
I think so. Yeah. This is a while back.
So all I can think about, all I can picture is Rick Fox. I know it wasn't Rick Fox.
Slight difference.
I'm like, hang on, I know he didn't shoot Granny style. I feel like that would have been a much bigger thing.
Big difference.
Yeah, Rick Barry, 80 years old.
65 to 80.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's 80 years old.
He bred some NBA players.
He did.
Slam dunk champion, if I'm not mistaken, which apparently
Did he
is
slam dunk Granny style?
Hold on. Which one? Who was a slam dunk champion? Was it Brent? Like one of his kids?
What happened, Mr. Before My Time? Oh, now you care?
No, I'm just.
Oh, okay.
Well, why do you think it's hard to
Brent
imagine
Barry,
him being able to do that?
Brent Barry won it in 96. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He went free throw line.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was unfamiliar with this game. I just knew him as a shooter. I didn't know he got up above the rim. I thought it was just,
What's that supposed to mean?
Matt McClung. I thought
Coach on the floor too?
Yeah, I did. I will say. I was
you not
unfamiliar with this
notice
game.
the renaissance that's been happening? Cooper DeJean took one back. Mac McClung's out here.
Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah.
Hey, it's
Put the word out. They back up.
it's a little different. Lad McConkey. Like, man, it's getting a little wild out here, ain't it?
Is Kevin Love's Twitter account really him?
Yes.
Allegedly.
Yes.
I think so.
Because I'm not reading what he tweeted. But
It's him. Yeah.
he just gets away with that. And like, I'm not going to say I didn't laugh. I might have, but
He toes the line.
You think?
He toes the line.
I was like, surely that's not him. I was like, I got to make sure it's not LVOE, like in his name. It's got to make sure it's not.
I looked at it in 3 million followers and I was like, okay, either that's the best parody account of all time or we're just.
He can get away with it, I guess.
Some of the responses, specifically like Richard Jefferson, Kendrick Perkins. I mean, I felt like they were entertained by it, but also kind of curious as to.
Oh, that's America. We all got a sense of humor.
Doesn't feel like it. Does
Not
feel
something
like
I'd
it.
touch.
Right, exactly.
I'm not sure I'd touch that one.
Let's get moving ahead to the next thing.
Not going to be involved.
Like I said, I just wanted confirmation that it was his. I did not know.
Listen, I mean,
Yeah, he's been wilding for the last couple months.
Like that.
Is he still playing?
yeah, he's on the bench at the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Let's go.
He's got time.
he's got vacation. Listen, man.
How old is he?
Honestly, probably like 28.
Bro, he's up
The
there.
way
No.
the way NBA is. Oh, I would guess 35.
30.
I'm going to say 38, 36.
36. 36.
He's up there.
Doesn't care.
It does. He does.
2-year, $8 million contract. That has to make him one of the lowest paid players in the league.
Yep.
He's made his money.
He ain't breaded no mo.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far.
He's in Miami too, man. He's
No state income. That's right.
right off.
Well said.
Yeah, he's only earned $273 million.
Only.
That's it.
Yeah, but a lot of his time was in Ohio, and it's like 5% state income tax.
Yeah.
In Cleveland.
Steph got that in 2 years.
I think he actually had to pay city tax in Cleveland too.
Dang.
So they get you every way up there.
Poor Jonathan Mitchell. By the way, like sidebar, I know nobody cares at all. But
It's okay,
is
you
it
just
not,
talked about Jack State basketball team, so we
well,
appeal to everybody here.
I also got reprimanded for leaving it up.
I
How
don't care
wild
anymore.
is it that the Cleveland Cavaliers are 44-10?
They're pretty good.
Best team ever.
Best team in the East
They're in the East.
by 5.5 games.
Think they'll make the playoffs?
Oh yeah, they're locks.
I think they've already clinched.
Yeah, they clinched.
Think it'll matter?
Well, it's which playoff? Did they win the midseason championship? That we don't know.
Can they beat Team Shaq?
No, actually, if you look who was on that roster, they would not. Like, could you name 3 players on the Cavs right now?
Yeah, Darius Garland,
Yeah, I
Donovan
know.
Mitchell.
I know you could. You watch the
Allen.
NBA. Anyone else?
Bronny?
No,
Actually, would have been a smart move by them, by the way.
could have been.
Kevin Love?
They just said he plays for Miami.
He's Miami.
Could play for both. 10-day contract.
DeAndre Hunter, Evan Mobley, Ty Jerome, Chris LeVert.
Isn't Donovan Mitchell there?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's the
Yeah,
leading
okay.
scorer.
Yeah.
We know that
24 a game right now.
one. I really
And
don't.
Darius Garland's 22 a game.
I'm not going to lie. I don't think I could have gotten past Garland. I know Garland and Donovan Mitchell, and that's it.
The only reason that I would have been able to name more than that is because, like I said, my 7-year-old plays with them on 2K. I don't
Really?
know why. I have no idea. He thinks Donovan Mitchell's good.
I think Okoro's there.
he
Which he actually is good. He's 24 a game, and they're the best team in the East.
Colin Sexton still there?
No,
My level of NBA consumption is approaching all-time low.
Colin Sexton. He's in
compared
Utah, right?
to where? I mean-
Compared to pre-COVID,
Yeah,
I would
Sexton's
watch.
averaging 18
I would
a
watch
game for
NBA.
Utah.
I really did. Like I watched NBA until the bubble. And the bubble just really disturbed me. The people in the background, like celebrating and stuff, like on a green screen.
Did you watch WWE during COVID?
Yeah, oh yeah.
It was a
That was the
little
first thing I watched. The first thing I
but that was
watched was
acceptable.
WWE. No, it was
Okay.
one of the most awkward things I've ever seen. That was the first sporting event that was televised, I feel like. And I think I watched it on WWE Network.
Yeah.
I think I subscribed to watch it. And it wasn't WrestleMania. It was kind of a bigger one though. And it was like 2 of the women, I don't know either one of their names. They're not big stars. They were 2 of the women that were fighting. And you could hear like audibly screaming
Yeah,
the whole. It was too
yeah.
awkward. I was like, I can't watch this. It's too awkward. Can't do it. It's too much.
Sable,
Sable was not. I probably would have stuck around.
Fabulous Moolah.
No. If Sable was still there, or what's her face?
Sonny.
Probably would have stuck around there.
Lunger
Too.
Blaze?
No.
Oh,
China.
China. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
she's
that's what you were, yeah.
she's not with us anymore.
No.
Oh, you were a Jacqueline fan. Okay.
No.
Mhm.
Oh, really?
Forget her name.
It was Jacqueline.
Trish Stratus.
Nah.
Big fan of.
Anyways, it was
Tori Wilson.
No.
No.
Stacy Keebler.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You know Billy Lucci's been out with Tori Wilson?
I did not know that.
Mhm.
We've been talking basketball all this time. We could have had this.
Oh
We'll
man.
get him on the show tomorrow. Talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like a good plan.
Boy, Billy.
But yeah, no, it's approaching all-time lows in NBA consumption. I do know that Jimmy Butler's on Golden State.
Yes.
Speaking of the bubble.
Yeah, that happened. that was old Jimmy.
Is there more NBA awakenings you'd like to share with us?
I mean, after y'all traded Luka, I know that
Other
probably-
roster
Luka's on the Lakers.
Yeah,
roster
Luka's
movement that you'd like to see?
but you got Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis, yeah, he's on the Mavs now.
Exactly.
Oh, look at Greg.
Hometown team.
Is
Yep.
he though? He's not active, right?
Well, he's injured as usual.
Jalen Brunson's on the Knicks. He
There we
used to
go.
be on the Mavs.
He
Yep.
did.
Good player.
Dirk retired.
Did he? Okay.
So basically, if it's not the Mavs, I got no time for you.
That's all.
That's
You're
it.
going to be out for a
Good.
while then.
Yeah. Y'all got Kyrie still, so
Oh, heck yeah.
you're trending upward.
Kyrie, dude, he's
still-
ahead of his time.
Do you want to take a guess who leads the NBA in scoring right now?
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Okay. We need to. This is a different conversation, but yeah.
He does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he plays for the Oklahoma City Sonics.
Formerly,
Exactly, yes.
formerly known as.
Same.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There you go.
And Houston's good again. James Harden, dude.
Well, he's
Easy.
not there.
Where is he?
He's been a lot of places, actually.
You know where he's at. You know exactly where he's at.
Does he play for Memphis?
That is not one of the
No,
places.
because
he's
they're
at.
second in the West. That's why they're winning.
Is he on the Lakers?
If somebody,
the opposite.
if somebody wanted, if you wanted to ship somebody to where no one would ever see them, off into oblivion, what NBA team would you send them to?
Memphis.
No, I think people pay attention to the Grizz,
Like our
especially
station.
here. Like we're the mother station of the
Oh, yeah.
Grizzlies,
No, that's it for
or
sure.
father station, one or the other.
I'd ship him to Charlotte.
Charlotte
That's not-
for sure.
That's not where he is, but
Charlotte
that's
for
where I'd
sure.
go.
That is the most off the grid fan base.
I think there's one that's more off the grid
We had
because
cardiac-
of another team in town that no one pays attention to.
No, the Clippers still move the needle.
Just because the
That's
one
where
guy with
Harden
the
is.
feather in his cowboy hat doesn't mean they're a real team. That he doesn't
They
count.
got their own stadium now.
Yeah, their new stadium's fire.
They're real.
Yeah, dude.
Respect us.
How many
They're
times
a
have
real
you
team.
seen a game with it on?
Portland Trailblazers are definitely number one. Hole.
yeah.
Charlotte's the East Coast hole. Portland's the West Coast hole. No doubt.
I'd still say Clippers.
I don't know. Minnesota's up there. But
well, Anthony Edwards is.
yeah, he's good. Yeah,
Third leading scorer in the league right now, I think.
I put Sacramento up there too.
Sacramento's a good call.
Well, I tell you, Carlos is loving this segment right now.
The whole
All right,
show, basically.
yeah, pretty much. Not much football talk, and we promised you that we would get to it, so we will on the other side. But first, I'll tell you about Game Day Men's Health. If you're lacking energy, if you're getting poor sleep, if you feel on edge, could all be the effects of low testosterone, and Game Day Men's Health would like to help you today. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com, set up a free consultation. You get the PSA test, the testosterone test for free at Game Day Men's Health. And they're going to have a baseline of where your health is right now. Going to be able to help you solve any of those problems. If it's weight loss, they have multiple programs for that as well. Mention Cube when you walk in the front door. Save 10% on any program that they have. Great environment, locker room feel, no stress, not going to push you into things that you don't need. They just want to help you. And they want to do it with a holistic approach to health and wellness and minimal upfront costs for the programs that they offer. That is very different from other places in town. You're not going to have to pay an arm and a leg just to get started at Game Day Men's Health. Like I said, you go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com, set up a free consultation today, and they'll give you an idea of where you stand health-wise. We'll come back. We'll talk a little college football. Richard Hendricks joins us at 9 a.m. thanks to Pizza Pulls, and we'll talk Alabama Auburn with him again. That's all next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 8:52 Monday, February 17th. Kurt tweets into the show, fellas, Rick Barry is not Brent Barry. Barry played with Jerry West. So for him to win the dunk contest would be a testament to his ED meds. Barry played with Jerry West. Rick or Brent? We said Brent won the slam dunk contest. So I'm not sure where we went wrong on that, but
I can't answer whether he won the slam dunk contest. I do know that Rick Barry is Brent's dad.
correct.
Okay. Confirmed.
I'm not familiar with medication, but we did just give you the updates on Game Day Men's Health if you needed that. So
Crocker Moving Search is a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys. And you can trust them in your home, whether it is your whole home packed up and moved, your company headquarters with your guys' country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room. These guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you've purchased and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website's crockermovingservices.com. That's crockermovingservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Services for your next move.
So Ross Dellinger reporting that momentum is building for an expanded playoff with multiple AQs per league for the Big Ten and the SEC. Joint meeting that apparently they are now closer to ever with a new college football playoff, reimagined league title games, 9-game SEC schedule, SEC Big Ten scheduling package as well. 14 or 16 team model, Greg, with 4 AQs each from the Big Ten and the SEC. 2 would go to the ACC, the Big 12, 1 G5, or one or 3 at-large teams also would get in. Just feels like this sort of breakaway is essentially now imminent for the Big Ten and the SEC as to where things are going in college football, maybe college sports all in general.
Well, I don't know why they're giving away so much. I mean, what leverage does the ACC and the Big 12 have to get a second team in? What leverage do they have? I don't think they have any. Like, what's the championship without the SEC and the Big Ten?
No, I would agree with that, but I think I'll go back to what Paul said this morning of what are you constructing? An invitational or a tournament? The best team should be in, correct? And there may be some years that you don't have 4 of the 12, 16, 18 best teams from those 2 leagues that automatically should get in.
Right.
4 each, by the way. So if a 16-team tournament, you're talking about half of it SEC, Big Ten, no matter what, across the board.
Correct.
And you look back to the scheduling and just say yours wasn't like ours, but can you just automatically say that every year that's going to be it?
You could. And then what does that mean for the future of conference championships?
Well, that's another thing that Ross points out is that could look very different in the near future as well, as those are going to have to be reimagined.
They need to be. That's probably overdue. And I hate that because I love the conference championships and I think they matter. I still think they matter. Winning your conference is always our number one goal. Beating your rival, winning your conference. Those are the 2 biggest things. And when you don't win your conference, it should be penal. And I don't know if it is. I don't know if it's going to be.
Could be very different times that we are staring down the barrel of in college football with the alignment of the playoff, who gets in, who's guaranteed to get in, conference scheduling, what that looks like, maybe out of conference scheduling now set as well. Some of that inventory, we've talked about it before, it's going to be scooped up and you're going to want to play those other teams. Richard Hendricks joining us next. 9 o'clock, Monday, February 17th, right here on Jocks 94.5. We've talked a lot about Auburn at Alabama over the weekend, 94-85, as Auburn gets that win against number 2 Alabama. It was an entertaining game, fun game. Auburn now 14-2 in quad 1 games this year. No other team has more than 8 quad 1 wins. Auburn has wins against 2, 6, 19 on the road, 5, 21, 22 at home, 7, 10, and 14 on neutral site. And we also mentioned that Auburn has Arkansas next at home Wednesday at 8 p.m. Alabama will be at Missouri Wednesday at 8 p.m. on the SEC Network. Richard Hendricks joins us each and every Monday thanks to our friends at Pizza Pulls. You go to fanaticslive.com now. If you're looking to get into trading card breaks, Pizza Pulls is where you need to be. We'll tweet out the link where you can go and get $25 for free on Fanatics Live to go get into card breaks right now at Pizza Pulls. And Richard, this was an interesting game for a lot of different reasons. It felt like there were big momentum swings. It felt like Alabama came crawling back a couple of times and was either going to make it a game or find a way to win it, but just never enough. Auburn continued to find ways to fight them off, but they did it with different players at different times. It didn't feel like it was just one guy for the entire game. What stuck out most to you about how Auburn got this win in Coleman Saturday afternoon?
Well, I thought it was a great game, and the way that Auburn was able to get it done was I think that they got off to the great start. You know, starting off 9-0 against Alabama on the road was pivotal because Alabama plays a style with the up-tempo pace and shooting threes that if you let them get the lead, you're forced to play a style of play that Alabama wants to play. Auburn was able to set the tone, control the tempo, and that early lead that they had early on was huge for them, and they were able to hold on.
What do you think Alabama can do to clean some things up offensively? It felt like they didn't get many uncontested looks. I felt like Auburn was amazing on defense, but I also felt like the lack of movement off the ball, lack of passing, some of that stuff was problematic. Is that something that can get fixed?
Oh, you're spot on. And you know, listen, like Alabama's a really good team. They're national championship level good. But so is Auburn, and they're not going to have to continue to play only Auburn for the rest of the season. But when you do run into a team of that caliber with the length like Auburn has, the interior play and the physicality, offensively, when you're running your stuff, you have to be able to engage and be in the fight before the action takes place. And what I mean by that is all about setting up your screens in the right position with some physicality so when you come off of them, those screens are shored up, which allows you to get a little bit more space to get your shot off. Every little inch matters so much, and it's all about, you know, the physicality that you have at the beginning of the play and making sure you do your work early. And then if you can set those solid screens and you have the proper spacing, then you won't see the shooting percentages be so low that you see that Alabama has against a quality team that can defend at all 5 positions. How
do you foresee Coach Pearl's lineup looking as we get to the postseason? You see what Chaney Johnson did in 33 minutes. You see what Pettiford did late in the game. Could there be more altering? Does there need to be more altering? What do you expect that to look like if it's any different once the postseason arrives?
Well, I think Auburn has unbelievable depth. And Bruce Pearl said at SEC Media Days, expect to see 10 players play on his teams. And he knows that he has a lot of talent. And the most impressive thing is with the maturity of his roster and the experience that they have, they all understand to come in and take advantage of their roles and play their minutes the way that they need to. I've talked a little bit about Tahad Pettiford doing that, his ability being such a young player to step into the game and understand the moment, hit big shots when they need it. And you mentioned to talk about Chaney Johnson, his ability, he played huge, stepped in, hit tough shots. Now, I do think Alabama could have done a little better job of contesting the shots that he was able to shoot. Janai Broome, Chaney Johnson were able to hit big three-pointers early in that game that Alabama dared them to take. And when you got really good, talented players, you can't allow them to get their feet set. It's only a matter of time that they're going to be able to knock it down. But the depth that Auburn has is incredible, and they're able to play multiple play styles, and you were able to see all of that on display on Saturday.
It was super impressive, and I think when you watch Auburn, they have so many different ways to beat you. They were so well coached. Is this something like what can derail this team in your eyes? Because I mean, they're playing as well as anybody and have all season.
Well, listen, I had a game earlier on the season at Tennessee, and Joe Lenardi was our guest to sit with us courtside, and he talked about the strength of the SEC. And at the point, he said, the SEC and Auburn has to play a tough schedule, and I don't anticipate them going 18-0. But honestly, I was looking at it, and I said to myself, I look at this schedule, and I do think that I don't know where they could be beat. Now, they dropped the game with Florida coming to town. And Alabama's really good, and they can beat them. But they were able to handle business, in Tuscaloosa, then they'll have the home court advantage. But this team is playing like they're on a mission. They obviously got beat in the NCAA tournament last year to Yale. That was upsetting after a lot of people thought that they could make a Final Four run. But the experience and age that they have, the poise that they're able to have in tough moments, the run-stopping ability that you have with Janai Broome to throw it in the post, and calm the game down, gives them an element that other teams don't have. And you pair that with the hunger that they have from last season's disappointment. I don't know who can beat them when they're playing their A game. I mean, there's some tough teams, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee. They can definitely do it, but it's not going to be easy at all.
Richard Hendricks joins us each and every Monday. Thanks to our friends at Pizza Pulls. You can go to Fanatics Live, download the app right now, go to fanaticslive.com, find Pizza Pulls there, register with the link that we'll tweet out. You can get $25 for free on Pizza Pulls. Richard, you look around the league and it feels like more of the same. I know Florida's a little bit dinged up right now, but a surprising game, I guess, a little bit with Mississippi State and Ole Miss. What else did you take away from sort of a big picture perspective in the SEC over the weekend?
Yeah, I was on the call for that Mississippi State-Ole Miss game. And, Mississippi State, Chris Jans has this team playing really good basketball. They struggled to shoot the ball offensively, but this past game, they were able to knock down some shots. And the way that they defend, they're a team that can be dangerous. The interesting thing about this league is that everybody's talking about the regular season. But I think what's going to really be interesting is when you get to Nashville and the SEC tournament, how the seeding falls after this gauntlet of a regular season, because it's all going to boil down to matchups. And as many of these teams as people are predicting, 12, 13, potentially 14 teams in the NCAA tournament, if you get a favorable draw and your team plays a different brand of basketball to another, then you can literally see maybe 9 teams that could be the SEC champion in tournament play. So, a lot of good basketball in this league. Texas got a big win against Kentucky. Kentucky does some really good things offensively. I think they have to do much more on the defensive end if they're going to rise their level into the upper echelon of this league. But there's never an easy game. And I'm looking forward to the last few to finish out the SEC slate.
It's going to be a great finish here down the stretch. When you look at what Alabama has coming up, and I don't know if you have their schedule pulled up, but it's a gauntlet. Everyone's got a gauntlet at this point, but theirs seems especially difficult. What do you think would be satisfactory way to finish? At what point do you start to describe, all right, hey, this is a great finish? If you finish, say, 5-1 or 6-1, whatever it may be, what do you think is an appropriate amount of games that can be lost down the stretch and still feel really good about what this team might be able to accomplish?
No, make no mistake about it. Alabama's a really good team. They're talented. They're deep. It's just, they lost to another really good team, which is Auburn, who has a little bit more experience as a collective unit. Alabama in this last few games coming down the stretch, they could win all of them, even on the road in Auburn. It's not something that they cannot do. Obviously, you're going to have to figure out a way to make some things better on offense to get some more clean looks. Defensively, you have to be able to not guard in spurts and guard for the entire 40 minutes of the game, which is a challenge to do. But on paper, as far as what they have talent, they'll go on the road at Missouri, and that's a tough team. Dennis Gates has his team playing really good basketball. Those midweek road games are always something that you have to be concerned with. But, I definitely look at the roster or the schedule, and you see what they're able to do as far as the last 3, Tennessee, Florida, and Auburn. Those will be the tough ones. But if they can 6 games left, they can be 5-1. You have to be impressed with that. But I think they're going to be ready to compete.
Richard, I wanted to go back to something you brought up a moment ago, and that was Janai Broome being able to control different things inside of a game with what he can do in the post, specifically when he is fed the ball in the post. Take us through your lens, how you see it, how you watch it. What's so different about him? What makes him so difficult to manage down low?
First and foremost, it's a different style than what every other player is playing. You don't get those reps to play against a basketball player who plays with the back to the basket. But it's the ways that Janai Broome uses his balance, his weight, and his leverage to get positioning. So you're in a tough situation when you're guarding a player like this because he's not a guy who's just rim running and deep stealing and asking for the basketball, and that's the only way he can get it. You can even push him off the block. And when he catches the ball out around the three-point line with his back to the basket, he's a tough guard because what that does is it's a move known as the Barkley. Like they changed the NBA rules because of Charles Barkley in the mid-'90s because he would catch the ball with his back to the basket on the three-point line and he would back his man down slowly until he's up under the goal. Janai Broome does that better than anyone else in the college game. And what that does is you have to guard him, which is tough to do. But he also has his head on a swivel where he's looking up and he sees all the cutters and the shooters sprayed out on the perimeter. And then his ability with his weight, he can pirouette and he can spin off of you and get close to the basket. So that type of post player is very, very tough to handle because he can use the passing ability to play off of his post moves and vice versa. So, I mean, he's unique, and it's a skill set that not other teams have. Because when you can throw the ball into the post, when you're struggling to get a shot on the outside, now you know that you can get a quality look. And not only can you get a quality look that comes from him, you can have the shooter scrambling around on the backside where the defense has their backs to Janai Broome, and they can't find out where the shooters are, and he can dime you for a backdoor cutter for a three-pointer. So he's unique, and that's how he's able to utilize it with those efficient post moves back to the basket and the ability that you cannot deny him the ball because he can catch it on the three-point line and work his way down.
Yeah, it's impressive to watch. I mean, he's got great feel, great awareness, just a tremendous player all the way around. You referenced Kentucky a moment ago, and it feels like since the Arkansas game, they've come back to earth a little bit. They beat South Carolina. They've beaten Tennessee a couple times, but team's been very up and down in the last 7 or 8 games. Is this a team that can actually turn things around and potentially make a run here in the tournament?
I think so. I mean, I think Kentucky is a team that can beat anyone. I mean, like they have newcomers on their team and a new coach, but obviously just like everyone else, everybody else in the league is going to have a new roster every single year. But the offense in which that they run, you have a lot of big men at the top of the key who have to make a lot of decisions. Amari Williams, Andrew Carr, and you always have to be concerned with how they are utilizing those dribble handoffs. Are they going to backdoor cut them? Are they going to come off of curls? Are they going to screen for the two shooters? And then you have to always be on balance defensively when you're playing them. But to me, where Kentucky has to be better is has to be on the defensive end. They have to be able to guard people, put a little bit more pressure on the ball, get out in the passing lanes, create some defense in the offense, and then close out possessions with strong rebounds. Offensively, I'm not concerned with them. But can you win the grind out games when teams get physical and they're trying to push you off your marks from an offensive standpoint and get it done on the defensive end? That's going to be the key for them. But listen, I mean, anytime you have to play Kentucky, you do have to play the entire fan base. They travel well. They support that team. And it's something, too, playing traditional powers. I mean, teams do get up for them, but at the same time, it's like you're playing against a little bit more than just the 5 on the court.
Richard, we always appreciate the time, man. Great to have you. Great insight on games over the weekend. Look forward to catching up again next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Great basketball in the state of Alabama right now. Got to check out Alabama and Christy Curry in the women's side in the top 25. They're doing a tremendous job, but I'm loving the basketball in the entire state of Alabama right now. It's at a high level.
I mean, have you ever seen anything near this, what it is right now, when you look at what UAB is doing, Sanford's doing, Jacksonville State, UAB, obviously UNA just got Gulf South Conference win again. Like what? I don't think I've ever seen it this deep.
No, and I think UAH, also University of Alabama Huntsville, has been playing really good basketball under their new head coach. I mean, it's unbelievable. Me being a basketball guy, I think that Alabama has always been a basketball state where people really enjoy and understand the game. I think most of the schools have a tradition that is much better than people think. I think it gets trumped by the football, which I think everybody understands. But it's good to see at the same time the high level of basketball to finally get the credit that it deserves, and the recognition, and that all of the programs throughout the state are at the top of the conference.
Yep, that's really cool. Thanks, Richard. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, guys.
Richard Hendricks, brought to us by Pizza Pulls at Fanatics Live. If you're looking to get in that Top Series 1 that's out now, Pizza Pulls is going to have that, be breaking WWE cards as well. Just find them at Fanatics Live on the app or fanaticslive.com. We'll click out a link that you can hit and go get $25 free when you sign up today. Also, South Alabama, Troy, both tied atop the Sun Belt with a couple other teams. So it's insane to think about, Greg, where basketball is top to bottom in this state right now.
It's so good and so much fun, and the interest level is just tremendous. I've really, really enjoyed everyone just getting on board and embracing it and embracing the rivalries within the state. It's just been tremendous.
It's been cool. Been fun to watch. A lot more that we can now watch thanks to a certain agreement that took place over the weekend. We'll discuss that and more next on Mac and Cube in the morning. $9:19, Monday, February 17th, Jocks 94.5. Listen online, jocksfm.com. College baseball began over the weekend. Alabama goes 3-0. LSU, Arkansas, Oklahoma, South Carolina, A&M all go 3-0 over the weekend. Auburn goes 2-1, which was just incredible to hear what happened down in Auburn on Friday night after what Butch Thompson told us Friday, with one of his players losing his mom and then going out there taking the field. Pretty wild to see that and see how that took place. Want to get into a little bit more college football, not necessarily following up on what Ross Dellinger was going to say, but Ross will join the show tomorrow at 9:20, and we'll discuss where things are headed with him. Philip Montgomery, Greg, going to be the new offensive coordinator at Virginia Tech. He's tweeting out that this is a dream come true for him. Great offensive mind, obviously. A good get for Virginia Tech. I don't think anybody would deny that.
No, I think that Virginia Tech has been a place that has had a little bit, I feel like they've had a little bit of a challenge kind of carving out an identity under Brent Pry, especially offensively. Like Tyrone Drones went in as their starting quarterback, midway through the year 2 years ago, and he just made a lot of plays and ran around and did some amazing things. And they weren't really able to recapture some of the momentum that was created at the end of the year. Now they've done some nice things in the run game. They just lost their offensive line coach, their run game coordinator. He's gone, so that's tricky. But I'll be curious to see, what Virginia Tech can potentially be this upcoming year, because Drones now is a veteran. They got a lot of guys back that have played a lot of football. It's a veteran roster. And we've seen veteran rosters make noise before. I just don't know if this group would be able to, because they lost some key pieces in the portal already. So we'll see. I would like Virginia Tech to get good again, though. That's an awesome place when they're good. Problem is they haven't been good in quite a while.
He's a Texas guy, right? Philip Montgomery?
Yes.
I thought he was a Texas guy. Like he's a part of that whole Stevensville group. Yeah. So I saw his tweet on Virginia Tech, dream come true. And I was just like, hold on a second. What are the ties there that I didn't really get that, understand that. Florida also going to add Deron Wilson as their new defensive backs coach. Al Golden picks up the Broyles Award. No real surprise there for you, I would imagine. I mean, did a fantastic job for that Notre Dame defense last year.
Any of the five that were finalists would have been appropriate winners. I mean, he did an amazing job, and they wouldn't have been there without him. I think once you take into account all the pieces that they lost and the lack of any drop-off whatsoever with their personnel, that probably gave him a little bit of an edge. But honestly, you look at any of the five finalists. I'm a voter in the Broyles Award, and I would have had no problem voting for anyone. I would have had no problem voting really in any direction. I actually voted for Brian Haynes from Indiana. I thought he did an incredible job in creating a lot of problems, forcing a lot of turnovers. They were number one in the country against the run. Like they even held Ohio State to 14 offensive points. I mean, that's saying something. So that's who I voted for, but Golden was tremendous as well. Really don't mind going in any direction.
Did a great job. Notre Dame finishes 11th in total defense, 5th in scoring defense last year. And as you stated, Greg, to be able to overcome losing multiple, probably your best corner early in the season, you lose your best defensive lineman in the middle of the playoffs. You have a couple linebackers in, out of the game. I mean, it's the injuries that they were able to overcome during different portions of this season. And like you said, have almost no drop off was remarkable.
For sure. I mean, and they lost some elite level players. Elite. I mean, corner, elite player. Riley Mills, very, very dominant force on the inside of their defensive front. They lost Howard Cross for a month. They lost two edge guys that can breathe some fire off the edge. I mean, they lost a lot, and yet there was no drop off. So I'm fine with him getting it. I think he's going to do an amazing job in the NFL. I just don't know why people are not giving him a good, long, hard look at becoming a head coach. I know that right now, everyone, the head coaching world's a little bit difficult to kind of pinpoint. And I know it didn't work out great in Miami, but Miami's got their own problems. Miami had their own challenges at that point. I think Al Golden, in my experiences, having been around him for a long time, spent a lot of time together. I think he's a head coach in the making. I don't know why he doesn't get another shot, and I hope he does at some point. Whoever hires him, I think is going to be in good shape.
Jeff Goodman going to join the show in 5 minutes. We'll talk college basketball with him, recap the weekend, talk Auburn, Alabama. But a topic of conversation last week that we discussed often, a tweet from Saturday, YouTube TV tweets out, members, we're happy to share that we've reached a deal to continue carrying Paramount content on YouTube TV. That means you still have access to channels like CBS, CBS Sports, Nickelodeon, add-ons like Paramount Plus with Showtime and BAT, and BET Her, which we found out was a real channel last week. All the litany of channels that we ran down now are going to be available. So great news for us YouTube TV subscribers that are not going to have to go without. You're not one of those, Greg, so it's okay.
I'm not. No.
But
not
you'll
a
deal with it
YouTube
at some
TV
point.
guy. Got no problem with it. I've used it in the past. There was a moment last year when we didn't have, as a DirecTV, we didn't have access to ESPN, so had to find other means. YouTube TV provided those, but loyal to the DirecTV game. Have been on DirecTV.
All of those things happen with all the different carriers, so it's like it's unfortunate that they take place, and then you have to do things like what you said you did, and you have to switch over. But I feel like that they happen intermittently with just every carrier. Like it's going to happen for somebody.
For sure.
It's going to take place.
Well, especially when it's like these carrier rights are getting more and more aggressive. I mean, like ESPN, for example, I mean, they had to spend billions upon billions of dollars on these properties. Same thing can be said at other places too. I mean, just billions of dollars. So they're charging the DirecTV, they're charging AT&T more, they're charging YouTube TV more, and YouTube TV is trying to say no. I mean, it's kind of a never-ending circle, but leverage is king, and when you start taking games off the air, that's going to get people to move pretty quickly.
People panic. I don't think that there's any doubt about that. There's a reason Auburn Athletics hand-selected Andrews Sports Medicine's Dr. Benton Emblem and Dr. Charles Pitts to serve as their team physicians. They provide the highest quality sports medicine care in an effort to keep Auburn student-athletes safe, healthy, and competing at the highest level. If Andrews Sports Medicine is the choice for Auburn Athletics, there's no doubt they should be your family's number one choice for sports medicine and orthopedic care. Andrews Sports Medicine has 7 locations across central Alabama, from Birmingham, Coleman, Gardendale, Hoover, Pelham, and Trustville. They offer same-day, next-day appointments for acute sports injuries. Visit AndrewSportsMedicine.com today to begin your journey of achieving victory over injury. All right, we'll take a break, come back. Jeff Goodman tells us why he never thought Auburn should go off the number 1 line anyway after that loss to Florida, and get his thoughts from Auburn-Alabama matchup over the weekend next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 9:30 Monday, February 17th, Jocks 94.5. Going to talk to Jeff Goodman about college basketball here in just a moment. Recap Alabama, Auburn, and look at just the state of Alabama as well with Jeff. Before we do that, G-Mac, tell our listeners about Polar Bear Services.
Well, they're the experts in the HVAC system, and you know that your comfort system is going to be put to the test this weekend. It's going to be cold this week. There's going to be actually temperatures in the teens coming up here in a couple days, which means that they're going to be running the AC during the day today, and then here in a couple days, your heat will be working overtime. Get a system tune-up with Polar Bear Services. They can also do duct cleaning. The flu season's been brutal this year, so make sure that you can get that stuff taken care of by calling my friends at Polar Bear Services. They can handle any repair you need, plus full installation of new Train units, which are the best in the business. So remember, if you have a problem with your electrical, plumbing, heat, or air, pick up the phone and call the Bear. It's 205-497-BEAR. That's 497-BEAR.
All right, Jeff Goodman joining us now to discuss college basketball and a massive matchup in the state of Alabama over the weekend. You are one of the few, Jeff, that I saw that after the Florida loss said Auburn should stay number one. How does this team separate from maybe any other team in college basketball based on what you've seen this season?
I mean, they just win. Like, they don't blow you away, but I think the biggest difference is they can win with their defense or they can win scoring the ball. You know, generally you have one or the other. Alabama's kind of erratic right now on the defensive end. Auburn's just been so good, so steady, so consistent. You know, they can guard and win a game in the 60s if they need to. They can win a game in the 90s because they shoot the hell out of it. And you got a big that, what do? You know, you got to pick your poison with Janai Broome. And, you know, if you double them, you can't double them. You can't, because they just have too many guys who can make shots from the perimeter. And I think the X factor, and I said it early this season when I saw him in person, was Todd Pettiford. You know, he's just a guard that Bruce hasn't had in a few years. You know, he loves those small guards, but Pettiford's a guy that, you know, it's explosive, can get by you, just an electric guard that he really hasn't had in a few years.
It's amazing to watch just how well they play and how many different guys can give you significant problems, and just their size. I mean, they're just big.
Yeah.
You see them up against Alabama, who's not short on length by any stretch. They just look like grown men out there for sure. But what about the coaching job done by Bruce Pearl? I was amazed at how many uncontested shots they got, their movement off the ball, the way they were able to pass off the screens. It was really amazing. So how would you assess his job coaching in that game on Saturday?
Well, not just in that game, right? I mean, Bruce, for years, has been known within the industry as a guy that just kind of got his kids to play harder than everybody else, right? It was toughness. You know, it was, all right, like, he's going to connect with his guys and get them to play hard. And I think as the years have gone on, and really probably since the Final Four appearance, I think it's changed. I think it's changed where now you talk to coaches within the industry, like the highest level guys, and they'll be like, all right, like X's and O's, Bruce has turned into one of the best guys in the country. And then you add in the fact that he just knows the right buttons to push with guys. You can see how good he is with people. He's that good with his players as well, how to motivate them. Because, again, that's a skill, right? A skill is getting your guys to play hard. He's done that forever, but now you combine the fact that he's become a much better, you know, tactician as a coach. And like you said, you know, really running Alabama off the three-point line was huge. And frustrating Mark Sears was big. You know, he frustrated him early. And Mark Sears, honestly, that's one of the worst games I've seen him play in a while. And he didn't play great earlier this season, but I think he's the key for Alabama. And I know that's easy to say, but he's the key in a different way than most people would say, because he got outplayed by Denver Jones on both ends of the court on Saturday. That can't happen. But it's more the leadership, the intangibles, the making the right reads. He didn't make the right reads on Saturday, and his shot wasn't falling. And if it's not falling, you got enough dudes around you. Like, Alabama might be as talented when they're healthy as just about any team in the country. So you got enough guys, and you've shown the ability to get to the basket whenever you want, and then drive and kick and get guys easy shots. And I think he got away from what makes him special, and again, just kind of relied on his scoring to prove his worth, which is not what he needs to do.
Jeff Goodman talking college basketball with us on the Buyers Right Hotline. Sticking with Alabama, any of these things that you've brought up, whether it's the threes not being able to fall, maybe not running the offense the way that exactly needs to be run, the physicality I know is better than it was a year ago. They out-rebounded Auburn in this game, but are there things that you look at and say, those are going to be massive obstacles that they're not repaired come tournament time? They're not going to get to the Elite Eight or the Final Four.
I mean, leadership is one. Again, leadership is one, and I think Chris Youngblood was brought in, to be a big-time leader, vocal, and he missed a good portion of the season. So I think that's still kind of working itself into fruition a little bit in terms of him stepping forward. But, they've been a better three-point shooting team over probably the last 10 games or so. I just think when you look at Auburn, the pieces fit. Right? They know their roles already. They've known them since early in the season. I still feel like Alabama's kind of trying to figure that out to some degree. And part of it was Youngblood coming out and Reitzel going down with the injury back in late November. Filan's been up and down a little bit. Darian Reed's been out. He barely played. You got to remember that too, guys. Darian Reed is a potential probable first-round pick. He played 4 minutes in that game. He really didn't play. So, I think once Nate gets him back 100% here in the next couple of weeks, that's a difference maker for Alabama.
It certainly feels like it. You did reference Mark Sears and playing better. It's like rinse and repeat, though. Sometimes it's like he tries to do too much. He tries to. Yep. A little bit like our quarterback situation at times last year. It's like, just delegate. There's plenty of other guys that can do it for you. You don't have to do it all yourself. And yet here we are again, where he's forcing terrible shots with his left hand. He's throwing it up out of control. Now, he didn't turn it over, which is, progress. But how does Nate get him to just settle down and to just allow the defense to kind of dictate where you want to go with the ball?
I think it's hard at this point in his career, right? I mean, how do you change at this point when unless you go through a losing streak? Right. I think that's probably the only way you could sit him down, and I'm sure he sat him down. We've seen it early this season, right? He benched him in the second half, and that didn't go especially well, although they won the game. I don't know if he changes at this point. But we've seen it at times, Greg. I mean, we've seen it. Like, he was great early on in SEC play in terms of driving and spraying the ball and kicking. And, he's just, you can't go 2 for 11 from 3. You can't. Like by the time you're 2 for 7, 2 for 8, don't you say to yourself, hey, you know what? I got Grant Nelson here. I got Youngblood and Stevenson and Fowler. Like, I got some dudes here. Aiden Holloway's as good a shooter, if not better, from 3 than Sears. So you got to find a way to get those guys the ball and understand that, you know what, it's only going to help you in crunch time because they're not going to be able to throw 2 guys at you.
Jeff, what is Florida, what is Tennessee compared to some of the conversations we've just been having about Auburn and Alabama?
I mean, Florida's right there with both of them. They're not far off from they beat them. So I would say Florida might be today, along with Duke, the 2 teams that I would say are the biggest threats to Auburn. And Florida's a little banged up right now, but they got Elijah Martin back. They got their big kid Micah Hanglifton back. He broke his leg last year in the SEC tournament. He played 20 minutes in his first game back. So they replaced Alex Condon and Sam Alexis being hurt right now for the time being. They are deep. They have as good of a perimeter trio as there is in the entire country in Walter Clayton Jr., Elijah Martin, and Will Richard. They have bigs that kind of know their role and play hard as you know what, and rebound the ball and can score when they need to. And this kid Aberdeen's now stepped forward, with Martin being out, and he's been terrific. Like Florida, when you look at them, and if you say, hey, listen, and this is no disrespect to Todd Golden, he just hasn't proven at the high level. But if you said, like, hey, I'm going to give Bruce Pearl this Florida roster, everybody would be like, holy crap. Or you give, Izzo or Self or one of those guys this roster, you'd be like, the pieces fit perfectly. Again, they rebound at such a high level. They can score at a high level. They have so many weapons. So I think Florida and Duke, to me, are – and I would have said Alabama. I think Alabama's there too. I think there's 4 teams to me that are at a different level right now. And it's Auburn, and it's Duke, and it's Florida, and it's Alabama. And then there's a drop-off. Tennessee is not in that category for me.
What about kind of the next tier, I guess? Is there a team that could make an NC State type run that all of a sudden it's like out of nowhere, here they are? Is there a team way on down the list that just hasn't quite found themselves yet? Or maybe they've had a really difficult schedule, so therefore their record's not great, but they get into the tournament and next thing you know, they're off and running. Is there a team down there like that?
I don't know. Again, have you written off Kansas completely? They were 25th in my top 25 yesterday. They just lost to Utah. They're 8-6 in the Big 12. I'm not ready to write off any team coached by Bill Self. They haven't looked the part at all. Pieces really don't fit together. And I keep saying that, but it is so important in this era of the portal and NIL. You can accumulate all the talent you want. Just look at the guy down at Fayetteville. They have talent, Calipari, no question about it. High level talent, but the pieces just don't fit well. So, I think that's partially the case with Kansas. When they throw Hunter Dickinson, DeJuan Harrison, KJ Adams on the floor, and even they bring in Kid Flory Bedenga off the bench, none of those are floor spacers. And Rylan Griffin, who transferred from Alabama, hasn't made shots consistently. A.J. Storr, transferred from Wisconsin, has been a non-factor most of the year. I think, I don't want to give up on them. I don't want to give up on them. And then the other one that's just the most Jekyll and Hyde team in the country is probably Illinois. Super talented. Don't know if I trust them. They could run off 3-4 in a row. They could also easily lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and it wouldn't surprise me. So those are a few. I hope, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I hope we get some mid-major teams into the tournament as at-larges over some of these teams that their resume honestly stinks. Some of these teams that we're talking about right now, that have had opportunity, North Carolina, Arkansas, they're going to put them in, like first 4, if they're close, the NCAA committee is going to put them in because they're going to draw numbers, right? So who wouldn't want to see a North Carolina, Arkansas first 4 in Dayton? That's one that certainly would get ratings. But I just, and I know they haven't earned it, like Drake just lost yesterday to Bradley, but I'd rather see those teams in it because they didn't get the opportunities over and over and over that John Calipari and Hubert Davis got this year.
What comes to mind when you hear about some of these automatic bids going to the bigger conferences and maybe automatic bids for smaller conferences winning their conference tournaments being lost in the future?
No, I hate it. It sucks. Come on. Who can like this? I mean, I just look at it right now and I say to myself, all right, Indiana is a good example right now. Okay. They're like, I don't know, 4 or 5 spots outside of making the tournament right now. They're in the mix. They're 6-9 in the Big Ten. The Big Ten isn't even that good. Okay. Now I know they beat Michigan State last week, but other than that, they had lost 2, 3, 5, 6 of 7 leading into that. Mike Woodson is going to step down. That's how bad things have gotten. And if they win, they have Purdue coming up at home and Penn State. If they win those 2 games at home, you're talking about a team that is right on the bubble. So, don't expand the tournament. The tournament's great the way it is. And I hate, and you guys are football guys, so I hate when basketball guys try to equate it and say, well, look at the percentage of football teams that make a bowl game. And I just kind of combat that with but most of these bowl games, the lower level bowl games, nobody gives a crap about other than gamblers.
The problem is there's a lot of gamblers. 2.1 million on all these bowl games, but you're 100% right. I don't think it's equitable at all. To me, the basketball tournament is nothing like the football tournament.
Correct.
And I just don't know why the postseasons are completely different. So I don't see.
They want to save their jobs, right? They want to save their jobs, all the coaches. So I understand it from the coach's perspective. I don't get it why, he's a good friend of mine, Seth Davis, was saying yesterday or 2 days ago that he wants to expand the tournament. And I don't want to expand it. Okay, so let me be clear on that. But if they do expand it, my idea is add in, 4 playing games where the last 4 mids that were right on the bubble, play the last 4 highs. So at least you have some intrigue too. Okay, because that's always the argument, right? The argument is, do you bring in Drake or do you bring in Arkansas?
Right.
Well, let them play each other to see who gets in the actual real bracket. If you're going to do it, which I'm not a proponent of expanding. I would go back to 64 personally. I think it was better. I'm not a big fan of the first 4, but yeah, it's not equitable.
The first 4 is just for gamblers. I mean, come on, don't you know that? Yeah. I mean,
that's right.
It's so good though. I love the first 4 in Dayton, man. It's always intriguing. There's nothing better than seeing a 19-15 Syracuse team smoke someone in Dayton, get hot, and next thing you know, you're watching them play for the Final Four. It's the way it goes.
That ain't happening this year, boys. That ain't happening this year.
But a tradition as long as I feel like the play-ins have been going on, that's for sure. Last one here before we get you out of here. Have you seen a conference that's as good as the SEC, or are we just too close to it down here?
I mean, obviously the Big East back in 2011 was all powerful too. I think it's come down to earth a little bit, guys. Okay, like some of these teams, Oklahoma got off to a great start in non-conference play. Vanderbilt got off to a great start in non-conference play. So now every game, every loss is a quality loss, no matter what, right? Georgia, I saw beat Kentucky earlier this year in Athens. Well, they're not that good. Arkansas isn't that good. We know that. South Carolina, LSU aren't very good. The top of the SEC is ridiculous. Again, Auburn, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Missouri, Ole Miss, Kentucky when they're healthy, Mississippi State. Those, 6, 9? Those 9 I'll put up against probably any 9. I just feel like, the Texases, the Oklahomas, the Georgias, Arkansas has proven very little. I think Arkansas will end up getting in. I really do. They just got to go 500 the rest of the way, which isn't easy, but I think they'll do it. But I don't know if I would say overall it's as good as the Big East was in its heyday.
Jeff, we appreciate the time, man. Great stuff. Thanks for hopping on with us. Love your insight. We'll do it again soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. There you go. Jeff Goodman joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline, talking a little college hoops. You can follow him on Twitter at Goodman Hoops. Find all of his work, The Field of 68. Great podcast. If you don't listen or watch, you should check it out. Some of the best college basketball discussions that you will get anywhere. All right, we'll wrap it up with bad box scores of the day. On the other side, you'll have to wait to get some of those bad box scores, though. But one thing you never have to wait for, Greg, is your dental care.
That's because Family Dental has you taken care of. We know you got busy schedules. We know scheduling around the kids is tough. You got activities for the whole family. Sometimes it's really tough to make dental appointments work. That's why Family Dental is there to serve you. On Fridays and Saturdays, they're open. They can get you in the same day for urgent care or a routine cleaning. Those routine cleanings now come with free teeth whitening as well. With 5 locations to make it especially easy on you in Hoover, Fultondale, Homewood, Alabaster. They're also now open in Trussville. Call Family Dental today at 874-9605. That's 874-9605.
Potential all-timer in bad box scores of the day next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 9:52 Monday, February 17th, right here on Jocks 94.5. Get to our bad box score here in just a moment. Don't forget, you can always listen and catch the podcast online at jocksfm.com.
Bill Smith Buick GMC, they did it again, ladies and gentlemen. They are the GMC Dealer of the Year yet again. It's a dynasty. That's now 5 in a row. That's now 8 overall. Nobody can touch Bill Smith Buick GMC. They are lapping the field in every possible way. You're literally costing yourself money if you don't shop there. I'm just telling you, flat out, it's a better place to shop with better people and better prices. You can go get yourself a GMC Yukon Denali XL. You can take $10,000 off the sticker. You can get it for just $86,000. Most places, I mean, they can't mark anything off of a Yukon. Just can't. They're too much in demand. Bill Smith can take $10,000 off. It's amazing, man. So go see Andy Cole and Jonathan Yeager. Tell them congratulations again for winning GMC Dealer of the Year, the national champion of car dealerships. So go and see them. Short drive up to Coleman, I-65, exit 310, Highway 31, or you can shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
Odeshay, Brandon from Leeds tweets into the show at Mac and Cube. Each time Cole states this is the best box score, it isn't. Love you guys, but Tommy, bring another best box score. Ha. Who is Tommy?
The Green Ranger from Mighty Morphin Power
Heck
Rangers.
yeah. He's a White Ranger.
He's white, yeah.
Senator, isn't he?
Don't believe that I've said one time in the history of this show that this was the best box score.
All-timer.
All-timer. He's just a hater.
The tweet says best box score. I don't recall saying that once.
I think the name of it is bad box score.
Selective hearing.
I could offer you up the Northeast Texas Community College Eagles, who just snuck past the Howard College Hawks 41-0 in college baseball yesterday.
And whoa.
And only did it on 5 home runs. Aiden Terry for the Eagles was 7 for 10, 8 runs driven in and scored 5 runs. But Odeshay would say that's not, that definitely is not the best box score. I wouldn't even try to put it into that category.
Odeshay Jackson? Like
I don't believe that is him, no. I could also offer you Tarleton State, who knocked off Butler in baseball 31-5. Oh, by the way, the Northeast Texas Community College score was in 5 innings or 6 innings.
Okay.
Tarleton State knocked off Butler 31-5 on
Butler's
16 hits. Well, they should probably stay that way.
Got him.
Tarleton scored 9 runs in the second, 9 runs in the fourth, and 9 runs in the sixth. They scored those 31 runs on just 6 home runs. Tyson Drake, 4 for 6, 4 runs, 8 runs driven in, 3 home runs and a double.
Guess Tyson's
in the
not
game.
like us.
I could offer you up Virginia Tech over Bucknell in college baseball 27-1.
They got one.
22 hits. Just 2 hits for Bucknell in the game. I could offer you up Indiana State knocking off Wagner in college baseball over the weekend 36-6 on 29 hits. 13 different players for Indiana State had a hit.
There we go.
We don't need to get to UAB over Mercyhurst 20-3 on Saturday.
Mercyhurst? They have a good
maybe a
cool
combined
offense.
bad box score of the day. Rhode Island knocked off William and Mary 36-22 in baseball.
Hey.
Now the run rule prevented that from going 9 innings. That was 24 hits for Rhode Island. They left 10 on base. 8 players had more than 1 hit in the game. They had 7 home runs in that game. They scored 17 runs in the 5th.
No defense like the NBA.
How excited are you that baseball's back for bad box score?
I told him Friday, you'll get some good ones, but not according to Brandon in Leeds, which they're always terrible for.